Good morning, dear students. So, we'll continue with the balance of the chapter Mechanics of Fluids. In the last class, we have discussed angle of contact, then also the pressure difference for different meniscus, like for concave meniscus, convex meniscus, etc. So, today we are going to study one of the important topic in this lesson, that is excess pressure inside a liquid drop. Clear? So topic is excess pressure inside a liquid drop. Okay. So just a reminder, in the last class we have studied about convex meniscus, then concave meniscus and plane meniscus, isn't it? So if you are considering a liquid, this type of meniscus is known as concave meniscus, then this is convex meniscus and this is plane. So if you are considering a beaker like this, and if there is a plane meniscus, which means that the pressure acting on the surface of the liquid as well as the upward force or the upward pressure acting here will be equal. In this case, the pressure from the surface of the acting on the surface of the liquid will be how, as it is less than the pressure acting from below. Understand? Now here the pressure acting above will be greater than the pressure acting below. So these are the three cases. Now we have to find the excess pressure inside a liquid drop. That is, we are considering a spherical liquid drop here having radius r, and you know it has a surface tension, let it be S. Okay, so for that first we will consider a spherical liquid drop like this. This is our spherical liquid drop having radius r. So it has a surface tension that is denoted by S. Okay, now since it has a spherical shape, you know there will be excess pressure inside this drop over than on outside. That is why it is having a spherical shape, isn't it? If it is not having a spherical shape, that means no pressure is there. That is why it burst out. Okay, if there is excess pressure created inside a liquid drop, if it can form a spherical shape, or if a drop has a spherical shape, it is clear that there is extra pressure or excess pressure inside the liquid drop. So this excess pressure always acts normally outwards. Okay, that means you know atmospheric pressure is acting on the surface, but this liquid drop has a pressure which is greater than the atmospheric pressure, so that it can maintain its spherical shape. So how does this pressure act? As it is acting like this, isn't it? In this way, normally outwards. Okay, so because of this pressure, you can assume that the radius increases, because everywhere there is a pressure like this, excess pressure acting normally or perpendicularly outward. So the excess pressure acting like this, you can assume that the radius r will increase, isn't it? Radius r will increase to a particular value. What is that value? Let the change be dr. Okay, so the radius increased to r plus dr because of the excess pressure inside the liquid drop. So first we will form the equation, that is, here there are three pressures actually, because atmospheric pressure acting on the surface of the drop, which can be denoted as PO. That means PO is acting like this. This is PO. Understood? Now this liquid has a pressure, that is a total pressure inside the liquid drop, which can be denoted as PI, pressure inside the liquid drop. But there is an excess pressure. How can you find the excess pressure? As excess pressure is Pi minus Po. Understood? This total pressure includes the excess pressure also. So, to find the excess pressure, you can subtract like this. That is Pi minus Po. Is much clear? Yes. First, we will derive the expression for this excess pressure. For that, first we will write the initial surface area of the drop. Which is 4 pi r square. Now, final surface area since it is here, it is 4 pi r square. So, final surface area means the radius changed to r plus dr the whole square. Okay, that is 4 pi into r square plus 2r dr plus dr square, or you can write it as 4 pi r squared plus this is 8 pi r dr plus 4 pi dr squared. Clear? Now there is an increase in surface area, right? Because of the change in radius, there is an increase in surface area. How can you find that? As final area minus the initial area. And also here dr square, since dr is very negligible change, this term can be neglected. So, to find the change in surface area or to find the increase in surface area, how can you write? Increase in surface area can be denoted as this term, that is the final value minus the initial value. Clear? This term is neglected because dr is a very small value. So by taking square means again it will be a very small value which can be neglected. So 4 pi r square plus 8 pi r dr minus 4 pi r square. So this term will get cancelled and the final value is 8 pi r dr. Okay, 8 pi r dr. This is the increase in surface area. Now you have to do an external work in order to increase the surface area, right? Yes. So that work is actually the increase in the surface energy. Clear? That is, you can write the external work done in increasing the surface area of the drop is actually the increase in surface energy. You know what is surface energy? What is surface energy? Yes. If it is required to increase the surface area of a liquid at a constant temperature, work has to be done, and this work is stored in the form of potential energy, and that is known as surface energy, right? And also increase in surface energy can be written as increase in area, increase in surface area into the surface tension. Yeah, increase in surface area into surface tension, because you have studied that the surface energy is equal to what? As it is equal to work done divided by increase in surface area, isn't it? Last class we have studied. So just cross multiplying, we will get increase in surface area into that surface tension. Surface tension or surface energy, because surface energy is numerically equal to surface tension. Okay. So how can you write that increase in surface area? You have the expression 8 pi r dr. So 8 pi r dr into surface tension is S. 8 pi r dr into S. Okay. Now work done can also be expressed as, you have studied in your smaller classes, that work done equal to force into that displacement, isn't it? Now force in terms of pressure, it is P into area into that change in displacement. Okay, so here it will be the excess pressure, that is excess pressure into area into change in radius. Okay, that is excess pressure can be denoted as P into area is 4 pi r squared into what is a change in radius, it is dr. So P into 4 pi r square dr. Clear? So we got two expressions for work done. First one is work done is equal to 8 pi r dr into s, and the second one is this one, that is W is equal to P into 4 pi r square into dr. So that we can equate these two equations. So we will get what is the expression, that is 8 pi r dr into s is equal to P into 4 pi r squared dr. So what is S here, or pressure you want to find, right? So excess pressure P is equal to 8 pi r dr into S divided by 4 pi r squared dr. Isn't it? That is 4 pi and 8 pi you will get 2. Then r and r square you will get r here. Dr and dr will get cancelled. So what is the value? 2s by r. Okay, so this is the expression for the excess pressure inside a liquid drop, that is 2s by r. Clear for you? So you can write the pressure difference in a liquid drop, which we call as the excess pressure, is equal to 2s by r. Clear? Now the same thing you can apply for a soap bubble also. For a soap bubble, what is the excess pressure inside? That is the next topic that we have to discuss. That is the excess pressure inside a soap bubble. So now we are moving to the excess pressure inside a soap bubble. So in this case also, starting onwards, you can do similar to that of a liquid drop, and similar to the liquid drop we have the increase in surface area, which is 8 pi r dr. I am not doing that derivations because it is same as that of the liquid drop. Okay, but here the difference is, a soap bubble has two free surfaces. When we compare a liquid drop as well as a soap bubble is having two free surfaces. Okay, so effective increase in surface area, how can you write? The increase in surface area, you can write it as, in the case of liquid drop, it is 8 pi r dr, but in the case of a soap bubble, it is 2 into 8 pi r dr. 2 into 8 pi r dr, which is 16 pi r dr. Okay. Now similar to that last derivation. Now we want to find the external work done in increasing the surface area. That is external work done to increase the surface area of the soap bubble. That is the increase in surface energy. Okay, increase in surface energy. Now what is increase in surface energy? Yes, that is increase in surface area into surface tension. That is what we got now. That is 16 pi r dr into surface tension. So 16 pi r dr into surface tension is the expression for the external work done. Now similar to the last case, we want to find the expression for work one more time. That is work is equal to force into change in radius. Now force in terms of pressure, you can write excess pressure into area into that change in radius, that is dr. Okay, that is P into change in area. Sorry, area is 4 pi r squared into dr. Clear for you? This much is clear. Now we got two expressions for work done. That is, first one is P into 4 pi r square dr, which is equal to 16 pi r dr into S. 16 pi r dr into S. Therefore, what is P? P is equal to 16 pi r dr into S divided by 4 pi r square dr. Clear? So 4 pi and 16 pi will get cancelled, r and r square dr. So final expression is 4s by r. Clear? 4s by r. So pressure difference inside a saw bubble, that is the excess pressure, is equal to 4s by r. So this is the case of a saw bubble. For a saw bubble, you have two free surfaces. Understood? But if it is an air bubble in liquid, suppose in liquid there is a air bubble. Okay. For an air bubble, you know that it has only one surface. That means it is similar to that of a liquid drop that we have already derived. So if a question comes like find the expression for excess pressure inside an air bubble in a liquid, you have to do the same derivation as that of the liquid drop. Clear? And if it is a saw bubble, just a change, that is it has two surfaces. So starting when you find the area, you have to multiply that area or increase in surface area into 2. Then finally moving to the same procedure. So what is the difference here? As there is it is 2 times that of the excess pressure of a liquid drop, that is 4s by r. Clear for you? So these two questions are very important. Excess pressure inside a liquid drop as well as saw bubble. Okay, study it clearly. Now we will move to the next topic, that is capillarity. So next term is capillarity. So here the term capilla, C-A-P-I-L-L-A, the term capilla means hair. Okay, it is a Latin word. Capilla means hair. And capillary tube, that is what first you have to study. What is a capillary tube? So this is actually a tube of very fine bore. That means very small bore. Okay. Hair like. That is why it is known as capillary tube. So capillary tube means a tube of very fine bore. Okay. So if a capillary tube, actually here also it is open. So if a capillary tube of glass is dipped in liquid like water, what will happen? As you can see that is if it is dipped in a beaker containing water, you can see that the liquid rises in the tube. But when the capillary tube is dipped in a liquid like mercury, the level of liquid falls in the tube. This phenomenon of rise or fall of a liquid in the capillary tube is called capillarity. Understood? So a capillary tube means it is a tube of very small bore, that is hair like bore only, fine bore. Now when it is dipped in a liquid like water, the liquid level rises in the tube. And when it is dipped in a liquid like mercury, you know mercury forms convex meniscus, the liquid level falls in the tube. So there is a rise or fall of the liquid level in the capillary tube, and this phenomenon is known as capillarity. Okay, you have seen ink pen, in which inside the pen there is a small tube, and when you dip it in ink, you can see that it rises in the tube. Like when you light a lamp, the wick that you are using, there also you can see that it rises through that. So these are all examples of capillary rise. So let us check the capillary rise happening inside a capillary tube when it is dipped in water. So it is actually the application of the pressure difference across a curved surface. That is why water rises up in a narrow tube like capillary tube in spite of gravity. Understood? So because of certain pressure difference, liquid rises in the capillary tube even though gravity is there. So here you are assuming a beaker containing water. Okay. Now you have dipped a capillary tube here. Actually it is a very fine bore, but just to understand I made it thick. Okay. Now when you dip it in water like liquid, you can see a concave meniscus here. If you are dipping in mercury like liquid, you can see a convex meniscus here. Okay. So here the capillary tube is having a radius r. You just assume that, okay? And then it is inserted into a vessel containing water. This much clear. And suddenly you can see a meniscus on the surface of water, and it is concave meniscus since it is water. That means that there is a pressure difference between the two sides of the meniscus. You know, for a concave meniscus, this pressure will be more than this one, isn't it? So that pressure difference, you can write it as the change in pressure, that is PA minus PO, which is 2S by R. The excess pressure, you have derived the expression, it is 2S by R. Clear? So here I have redrawn the figure. Once again, we have considered a capillary tube of radius R. Then it is dipped in a liquid, okay, of surface tension S. Then you know, since it is water, it wets the tube, wets the sides of the tube. If you are using mercury, it doesn't. So here you are having a concave meniscus. Then the shape of the meniscus of water will be nearly spherical if the capillary tube is of sufficiently narrow bore. Understood? So here you know, since it is concave meniscus, here the pressure will be more. So excessive pressure at a point A just above the meniscus compared to point B just below the meniscus is, as we said, it is P is equal to 2S by R. Clear? Now we are going to redraw the figure, this capillary tube, only this capillary tube in a maximized form. That is, check here, this is our capillary tube. Now this is your meniscus, okay. Actually this meniscus is in the form of a spherical shape, as I said. So this is the spherical shape. Now it has a radius which is equal to what? S. It is R. Clear? So here you can mark an angle theta like this. It is angle theta. Join this also. So if theta is the angle of contact, then from this right angled triangle, you can mark this as small r. Okay. What is small r? Small r, you can take cos theta here. That is cos theta is equal to small r divided by capital R. Isn't it? Adjacent side by hypotenuse. Or r is equal to small r by cos theta. Clear for you? Now, in your expression, that is P is equal to 2S by R, you can put this value so that it is 2S by R into cos theta. Clear? 2S by R into cos theta. So due to this excess pressure, the liquid rises in the capillary tube. Let the height of the tube from the surface level be h. Okay. So liquid rises in the capillary tube. And up to what time it rises? S. When the pressure exerted by this liquid column becomes equal to the excess pressure. Okay. the pressure exerted by the liquid column, you know, that is H rho G, must be equal to the excess pressure. Then up to that point, the liquid will rise to the capillary tube. So you will take a condition where the pressure of the liquid column is H rho G, and this value, that is 2S cos theta by R, which is the excess pressure, must be equal to H rho G. This is the condition when it is at equilibrium. Understood? So what is H from this expression? That is 2S cos theta by R rho G. 2S cos theta by R rho G. Clear for you? So in this expression is actually for the height up to which liquid rises in a capillary tube, and this formula is actually known as ascent formula. Ascent means what? Rise. So ascent formula. Clear? So the ascent formula shows that the height h to which a liquid rises in the capillary tube is inversely proportional to the radius of the tube. Okay, inversely proportional to the density of the liquid, then directly proportional to the surface tension of the liquid. So from this it is clear that since the radius is very small, for smaller radius the height will be more. Or you can say a liquid rises more in a very narrow tube than in a wider tube. Understood? So this is how we can relate, and this is the expression for ascent formula, that is the height up to which a liquid rises in a capillary tube. Clear? So this is also important, simple only. Just want to understand the concept and apply the equation. Okay, so read it thoroughly, and by this topic we have come to the end of this chapter, mechanics of fluids. So in the next class we'll be starting new lesson. So thank you so much. Have a nice day.